Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, part of the Furniture with me, Daniel. It's season 17, episode 2, and today we play a massive game at the top of the table, as early in the season it's Torquay v Chelsea, as we look to stamp our authority on the Premier League. It's been a solid if unspectacular start for us, as we look brilliant at the back yet again, but we're struggling for goals at the other end, something that our opponents today can't say. They are the top scorers in the league and they've got a fantastic goal difference, but we're one of the only three sides that remain unbeaten, so hopefully we'll be able to get a good result out of it. But before we start, a massive thank you to everyone that continues to follow the series. We started this season yesterday with a big transfer special in the Community Shield final, so if you did miss that one then do go back and check it out. I'll put a link to the episode in the eye above, and then hopefully you'll want to pop back over when you're done to see how we get on in our Premier League match. We've got a little bit more transfer news to talk about, mainly in terms of outs leaving the club, and I apologise in advance for my slightly different voice today. I've got a little bit of a sniffle, but we're soldiering on through it. It certainly won't impact our enjoyment of the game, and fingers crossed we'll be able to get through it without losing our voice. But you can see immediately after 5 league games in a Community Shield, it is goals we're struggling for again. Our top scorers have only got 2 apiece, although our top assist scorer is Alexander Yaladian. He had a really poor first season at the club last year, but he's starting to recover this season, a good average rating above a 7. The one problem is his 3 contributions to goals all came in his first 2 games, and the last 3's been pretty poor again, so that's a bit of a concern going into this one. Pep Guardiola's in charge of Chelsea now. He's certainly getting them playing good football, but hopefully today we'll be able to get a result by playing a solid, consistent brand. We've got one player coming in the future. He's a 17-year-old from Hearts in the SPL, but firstly let's go and look at our players out, which has been our main area of action since the last episode. You'd obviously met all the 4 new boys where we'd spent 200 million, but now we've managed to recoup an extra 45, and that's through the sale of a couple more pros. So since you were last with me, Talasise's left for Boca Juniors, £20 million up front, rising to 27 if all future fees work out. Recovering from a broken leg, he wasn't ever going to make it back to his best, but a really decent player and I hope he does well there. He was a really good servant for the club. Then Shane Mason-Smith went to Manchester United, £23 million for him. A backup goalkeeper, but he's making appearances for them, so we wish him all the best, but his attitude absolutely stunk for us. And then the last one was Bulu, the young centre midfielder. We picked him up on a free a few years ago, and he did do okay, but he didn't quite develop, and he's gone for around £2.5 million to DC United in the MLS. A few others gone out on loan as well, the likes of Alan Parr and Pete Haaland, both really decent prospects, and Nicolas Ruiz-Diaz to Napoli, a club we managed in our other series, the head coach, a really decent young Paraguayan centre-half, and hopefully he'll come back ready for first team football. He's rated as a wonder kid, so must have big potential, and he just needs a year of football to try and fulfill it. But that's all the transfer news since the last episode. Let's go and have a quick look at the schedule. If you haven't clicked back to the first episode yet, you are about to get a spoiler for the Community Shield result. Of course, unfortunately, we lost it again. A 1-0 defeat against Manchester City. But in the Premier League, we remain unbeaten so far, despite 2 disappointing away draws. Clean sheets in all of our home games though we haven't been great in front of goal. In our first game against Everton, we had a 2-0 win. A really solid performance with Cater and Andrade getting the goals. Then away to Watford it was a 2-2 draw. We were 2 down at the half-an-hour mark. It didn't look good for us, but we made a comeback. Andrade and Yaladian getting the goals. Then in the third game at home to Brentford, we relied on a late first half goal by Omar, and it was a little bit tense and nervy towards the end, but McDonald and Singy were brilliant at the back. Then away to Sheffield United we had the same score. Gerben Baccanes with a late goal from a corner, unmarked 6 yards out, to spare our blushes after a poor display. And then before the international break, our best result against City, a 2-2 draw with Cater and Silla scoring. Mane scored a screamer after an hour for the home side, but we managed to hang on for a crucial point. And that takes us into a Chelsea game today, our first real title decider of the season. Manchester City have started poorly, so we can only assume they're going to have a bad year. We've got an absolutely awful Champions League group. You can see we're at home to Austria Vienna first out, but our other two opponents are Barcelona, who we did beat in the Europa League final 18 months ago, but they're a top class side, and in Inter Milan, another brilliant team, so that's going to be a difficult group to get out of. So after this Chelsea game, we will show the Barcelona one, our first ever visit to the Nou Camp, and that's going to be something to behold, and probably the biggest stadium we've ever played in. But let's go and have a look at our team for today. After we've looked at the dynamic screen, everything's looking really solid there. Just Boubacar Sylla unhappy at the moment. Torquay, Hull and Richard Quirk are concerned, but neither of them have got to worry in this one. As we go and get into our match against Chelsea, we're going to play as strong a team as possible. Unfortunately, due to the international break, we are missing a couple of good pros. Bakanez on 86% condition, Alexander Yaladian and Dimitri Lapin both stuck down on 91, so we are a little bit weaker than we would be, which won't help us out in this one. And Sengi's only 95% condition too, so Torquay Hull's going to come in for him. It's like for like, they're both 4-star ability, so that one shouldn't make too much of a difference. Then in the Champions League game against Vienna, we're hoping we can get away with a reserve team. We're going to rotate a lot in that one and hope we can get the win ahead of our big games against Inter and Barca. But with all that team news out of the way, our starting 11 today is Stojanovic in goal, Cura and Moraes are the fullbacks. Cura's not had the best start at right back, but is starting to improve now. We've dropped both of our fullbacks to support duties, just as it's worked better in those games. Then Raphael's in the holding role covering for Bakanez, McDonnell and Hull centre half if I didn't mention them, then Keita and Omar in central midfield, Sousa and Sylla on the wings, and Alex Andrade up front, looking to add to his 2 early season goals. Again, apologies if my voice is getting squeakier. I can't tell if it's just my ears being blocked or if it is actually sounding quite squeaky. So I can only apologise if it doesn't sound as pristine as usual, but a little bit of a cold never stopped anyway. We had one quite early in the save where we sounded like Sean Dyche for about a week. This one's not quite that bad, so we'll just go and crack on with it and get into this game against Chelsea. It's a 4-2-3-1 for the away side. Pretty usual service at this level. They've got some top players such as Cecchini and Cordellini, Alfredo and Martinez on the wings, lots of players we recognise, and a top class goalkeeper as well. Someone who will do a good job against us, I'm sure. We're going to tell the lads to prove a point, just as Stuart Jelling recommends, and most of the lads are motivated as we go through the tunnel interview. Let's go to the kick-off with Chelsea to take it. Cordellini finds Casca, the left back. He goes down the line to Cordellini again, in the centre circle to his central midfield partner, and he gets it wide to the left hand side, and it looks like Chelsea are going to get an early chance. Colle on the left with a delivery, Alfredo down to the edge of the box, and the shot's blocked and is cleared away. Cordellini picks it up again, out towards Hilton on the right hand side, but it's overhit and out for a throw in. 5 minutes gone, it remains goalless, but Chelsea have had the early possession. It's a throw on the right for Cura though, long ball in towards Hull, deflects down and Sousa gets the second shot, but it's blocked behind for a corner kick. Omar will take it an in-swinger. Towards the back post it beats everyone. Alfredo flicks on the second ball as well, and it's cleared away towards the halfway line. The highlight ends, and with a quarter of an hour gone, it's been a pretty even game. No real clear-cut chances so far. 25 minutes gone, it's a free kick for Andrade, into the wall from 25 yards. McDonnell loses out on the left-hand side, and Martinez clears it on the rebound. It's a Chelsea free kick on the left-hand side, into the box towards McDonnell who heads away. Hull flicks it further and it falls for Colle, who charges down the right wing for the home side. The away side, as he crosses it into the box. Cecchini has a free header into the corner, and Chelsea have scored with their first good chance. They lead 1-0 after half an hour. We're going to demand more from the lads and see if we get a reaction, but at the moment it looks like it could be our first league defeat. Really hasn't been the most convincing start anyway, but this time as we've struggled to score goals, a 1-0 deficit may be a problem. We're going to drop to a balanced mentality to half time, just so we don't lose 2 or 3 goals, but that may happen anyway with Casca on the left, delivers to Cecchini, but Moraes wins the header, and his shot's blocked on the second occasion. He's behind for a Chelsea corner on the right. It's an outswinging delivery into the 6-yard box. Hull wins the header and it's behind again. A barrage of attacks from Chelsea here. Set pieces coming in from all angles. Just under 10 minutes to go to half time then. Cura throws it into Andrade. He holds it up well and now Raphael goes back to the defence to start again. It's McDonnell at the back of the centre circle. He goes all the way back to Stojanovic. Got a chance to get a long ball downfield, but in the end goes short to hold the centre half. The 1-2 forces a long kick in the end, though Andrade loses out in the air. Now Colle charging over halfway. He finds Ticini and now Cornellini. The two key men are holding it up well as Martinez switches to Hilton, the fullback. Into the box and Martinez heads it. Brilliant save Stojanovic. Tips it onto the bar and Moraes clears away. We are getting absolutely overrun at the moment. We're going to go back to a positive mentality and just ask the lads to show some passion. They really haven't put much effort into this one. They've just laid down and let Chelsea dominate. It's Cornellini 25 yards out again. McDonnell misses his challenge and Moraes hacks it clear. Chelsea could be 2 or 3 up at this point. We're really putting in a poor display. Colle gets it wide to Casca on the left. Their dominance still isn't over, but in the end Sousa clears it to Andrade, who holds it up waiting for support. Runs alone to the 6-yard box. Brilliant save Gomez. Gomez has crossed it in again. Sousa sorry with the delivery at the last, but he's cleared away, and with a minute to the break, Chelsea are going to lead 1-0 at half time. There's the whistle then. Cecchini's goal separates us. Been a pretty even half, but we can't argue with a score. Chelsea have just about had the better of it. We're asking the lads to show something else, but I'm not sure what we can do in this half. We could push the fullbacks forward just to try and get a bit of dominance in the game, as we did throughout most of last season, but it could risk a second or third being conceded, as we've let in a few chances down the wings already. Andrade's passed the ball out for a throw to Chelsea. Not the best start to the second half. It's a long throw from Moraes on the left. Andrade brings it down on the edge of the box. Good turn and shot, but it's just wide of the post. Didn't really threaten the keeper. 25 minutes to go, it's Cura with a throw on the right. We still haven't looked like scoring really, but Silla was in one-on-one there, and he put it wide of the post. Didn't even test the keeper. He's anxious and on a 6.5, so Kozul comes on for him, and the same for Omar in central midfield. He's frustrated and replaced by Kante. The new man's only made a couple of sub-appearances in the league, and I think maybe one start as well, so we'll give him a go and see how he does. He's got 25 minutes to be a hero. We will give Sousa the replacement in 5 minutes. He's really struggling for match sharpness, and although Yaladian's not come back in the best condition, I'm sure he'll be able to do 20 minutes for us. We'll get back into it and demand more from the lads, as we've got a long throw on the left with Moraes. In towards Yaladian, who loses out. Kozul goes all the way back to McDonnell. We start again on halfway with Cura, as we're starting to create more of the chances here. Out to Yaladian, the sub. Delivers in towards Kozul. Good header, but it's straight at Gomez, who holds it down to his left-hand side. Moraes with a long throw again on the left though. Hull brings it down on the edge of the box. He finds Keita and now Raphael. Who's he going to find? It's Hull again, but he's been forced backwards to Keita. Kante plays a 1-2 with him. Out to Raphael on the right. Into Yaladian and now Andrade. Shot blocked and Keita has the same result. Kozul brings it down 30 yards out. Keita to Kante in the centre. Out towards Moraes on the left, but it's blocked, and it remains 1-0 to the away side. Just 15 minutes left on the clock. 5 minutes to go and nothing's happened, so we've gone very attacking for the last few minutes. The ball's deflected from a Chelsea free kick, and the highlight ends with just 1 minute to go. How many minutes of stoppage time are we going to get added on, as we're going to go to a much higher tempo too? Something that happens naturally when we go very attacking. 3 minutes of stoppage time and nearly 2 are up, as we're coming forward on the right with Yaladian. He's taking everyone on and going alone. Into Kozul, who shoots. Brilliant save by Gomez. It's behind for a corner on the Torquay left. Kozul will take it and outswinger. In towards the back post to McDonnell. Loses out in the air and it's cleared away by Foster. Out for a throw on the Torquay right. It's going to be the last chance of the match. It's going to be taken by the right back Cura. He's got 2 men at the front post but goes long. Hull brings it down for Yaladian. His shot straight at Gomez. It was well struck, but it was straight into the keeper's arms. Either side, and it would have been a dramatic late goal. Cecchini comes forward on the counter-attack, and it does end with a 1-0 defeat. A really even game in terms of stats, but that poor start in the first half cost us, and again we've struggled in front of goal. 8 shots on targets and nothing to show for it. We're going to say we're disappointed with the lads. Pedro Cura had a decent game, so we'll go and praise him individually. A couple of the others are angered by that, but they've not performed on the day. Let's go and see what that does to the league table and what the media have said about the game, and then of course we'll plan our next episode against Barcelona and see what we've got coming up in in the meantime. So let's have a look at the inbox. Chelsea go top of the league with that win. Giacchini who managed to get it in the end, so we'll come and look at the league table in a moment. It was the early kick-off, the first one of the day. You can see Liverpool and Arsenal in action at 3, and then Tottenham v City in the late one. So let's go through to the end of the day, and then we'll look at the table in more detail, just to get a fairer reflection on the league, rather than panicking or making things look good. Well, it couldn't have gone much worse, really. Liverpool and Arsenal both won their games. City got a result against Tottenham, so it is looking a little bit closer at the top there. United 1 point behind with 2 games in hand. Liverpool, Chelsea and Arsenal all above us, and City even closing the gap after a poor start. Tottenham not a million miles away either, so it is going to be a very long season for us. I think it's going to be difficult to defend our title, as we haven't got the biggest, strongest squad in the league. Last year we took advantage of some poor form from other sides, and this year I think we've got to focus on the cups. So hopefully the Champions League we can go well, but it is going to be difficult against Barca and Inter in the groups, and then we could just focus on the FA and Carabao Cups again, trying to get more trophies in the Torquay cabinet. Just because we've won them doesn't mean we don't want to get them again. There's nothing wrong with winning a trophy twice. The last thing we want is trophyless seasons, just because we focused on an improbable goal. I think the Premier League's going to be very hard now, so the Champions League and the Cups is likely going to be our focus. I just want to see if the dynamic screen has shifted at all. The dressing room atmosphere and managerial support both down very slightly, but it's still very good and it's not a major concern. We've got a pretty good bunch of lads here. But let's go and have a look at the schedule. We had our Carabao Cup third round draw as well. We go away to Championship Wigan. Let's have a look how they're getting on. 21st place, they're not doing great, so our backup team should be able to beat them. The same goes for the Austria Vienna game in midweek. I'm not sure if they've got any stars there. Their best players rated at 2.5 million, a really decent experienced left back. But a side we should be beating quite comfortably, and at least making sure we get third in a group and through to the Europa League after Christmas. If we're not in Europe at all after the group stages, then we certainly would consider that a failure. But with Barca and Inter in our group this year, we've got to temper expectations slightly. We've got a couple of decent Premier League games coming up too. At home to Southampton and Villa we really should be winning, especially if we want to be a top 7 side. And then we go away to West Brom after the Barca game, and barring a European hangover, that should be a winnable one too. So we will be back on camera for that Barcelona game, probably followed by Arsenal or Inter a month later, depending on which one of the two competitions are tighter and which game deserves more of the viewing. But if you did enjoy this one and our first Premier League defeat of the season, please put a thumbs up on the video. A tough result to take, but an okay performance. We're just really struggling in front of goal. I think next season we definitely have to go for a big striker and blow all of our budget on one man, because Alex Andrade just isn't good enough, and after that first season he's gone off the boil completely. Rutherford's no longer good enough to be a backup, and next season he will be 30 as well. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the other few players going out. I know there's not too many surprises there, but is there anyone you think we should have kept hold of? And let me know if you want to know about sell-on fees, as I can obviously show you details of those in one of the later episodes this season. We will have a very quick look actually to see how Andrew Brown's getting on, the player of a generation from our youth intake last year. We were a little bit underwhelmed when we looked at his stats, but let's go and see how he's developing. He's still got 1.5 star ability, but he is improving his finishing slightly, and physically he's getting better as well, and his personality is now professional too. So it is good to see everything coming along well, and hopefully he'll continue to become a better player. I know a couple of you have said in the comments that you think he's going to be a superstar, so I really hope you're right, and then maybe for our last season before FM20, either Brown or Stuart John can be our star striker. That would be the dream, as it's a homegrown player, and we want as many in the side as possible, alongside the likes of Richard Quirk and Ray Probert. Looking at our tactic, is there anything you think we can do? It's very similar to last year's, but we're just not scoring goals this time, and I really don't know the answer to it. Maybe teams have worked us out, and we just have to come up with something new. We've got 3 brilliant centre-halves now, so we could play a back 5, but I've never really been able to make that work, and when we did it in the Championship for a couple of years, we leaked goals all over the park. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from this Torquay United story. We've got new episodes every Sunday to Thursday at 4:30 as we continue with our new schedule, which will take us through to the release of FM20. We'll also have reaction to features for the new game, as well as information for the series we've got planned too, so keep your eyes peeled over the next few weeks for all the FM20 info you need to know. There's also 3 episodes a week from my Cricket 19 career. That's every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday at midday. A massive thank you to everyone that continues to support that series, as well as the Ashes Test playthrough we did beforehand. I really do appreciate you giving it a try and hope you continue to enjoy the content. Then finally the Snooker 19 career mode videos every Friday at 4:30. We're in the last event of the series in that one as we play the season ending World Championships. We're trying to emulate Ronnie O'Sullivan by winning the big one, and we'll have action from every round along the way, so do come and join me to see if we can make it. But a massive thanks for watching this one and your continued support with the series. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time for another big episode as we've got a massive Champions League game and we head to the Nou Camp to face Barcelona.